Hi, it's Alexis Hasselberger, time management and productivity coach. Have you ever found yourself wondering, or maybe even saying out loud, I know how to do this. I know what to do. Why am I not doing it? Have you been incredibly frustrated with yourself at this time? Uh, well, I would assume so because I certainly have. I think most people have. And when you are feeling like this, when you're feeling like, I know how to do it, I know what to do, I'm just not actually doing it 100% of the time, or I'm not doing it as well as I want to be doing it, or maybe I'm not even doing it at all, you are in the knowing doing gap. And the knowing doing gap is a place that will be bridged. You can bridge it. You will move forward, but it can feel really frustrating because you find yourself saying, like, well, I get it. Why am I not doing it? And we're just in this gap. Now, a huge part of what gets us out of this gap, what gets us, across the finish line to be able to do the thing we already know how to do, is practice, of course. But I'm not here to talk about that today. What I want to talk about here today is what's actually happening in the background. Because even when you feel just totally stuck, there is actually something going on with your awareness that is helping you to get from point A to point B. And that is that your awareness is actually moving in time. So the cycle that this follows for most people that I've seen, myself included, is that first our awareness comes after the fact. So after we've done or not done the thing that we wanted to be doing, we say, oh, gosh, why didn't I do that? Right? Then it starts to come mid whatever we're doing. So we're in the middle of whatever the thing is, and we're like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing it this way. And we start to have that awareness move up a little bit more in time. And then eventually, after practice and practice and practice, you get to a point where you're, quote, making the right decision, whatever that may be, before you actually take action, right? So that awareness has moved up even more in time. And this is what's happening for us. When we are stuck in that knowing doing gap, we are still moving in our awareness a little bit at a time. Might feel slow, but it is definitely happening. So let me give you a few concrete examples of this, because we always want to bring it back to the practical. Now, if you're a parent, or maybe you've had little kids around, then you've probably had the impetus to stop yelling at your kids. Or if it's my case, right? My kids said at one point to me, like, you got to stop yelling at us, right? And so most parents have had this experience. And then what happens, right? What happens when you try to stop yelling? Well, your kids, they don't just start behaving better, right? No, what happens is you yell at them. And then you realize after the fact, oh, I was trying not to do that. I feel really bad. I've told them I wouldn't yell. I'm trying not to yell. You feel bad. But your awareness is there, it's kind of on the back end, right? Then after practice and after practice, what happens is maybe the awareness shifts up to mid yell, right? So you're opening your mouth, you have maybe yelled a few words, and then you say, oh, you know what? I actually need a break. I'm trying not to yell. You go into the bathroom, you take a few deep breaths until you can calmly come out and feel like you don't need to yell anymore. You've kind of broached your, brought your awareness back into this mid zone. And then eventually over time, you stop yourself before you even open your mouth. You stop yourself before you start yelling. You might still need to say, I need to go take a break. I need to take a few deep breaths in the other room. But you're doing that before you started yelling, right? So this is a really concrete example for most of us who are parents, right? If you don't have kids, then you have this joy waiting for you at some point if you ever decide that that's kids are on the path for you, right? Now, another example of this, is when we think about timelines, right? So committing to timelines, committing to deadlines around things. And this is an area that I see people get into trouble a lot, right? We always want to give the most optimistic deadline. We want to give the most optimistic timeline. We want people to think we're fast. We want to impress people, right? It doesn't usually work as we wanted it to. So what happens is that, at first we may find ourselves committing to these overly optimistic deadlines, and now we're working round the clock to make it happen. We're stressed, we're overworked, we're, totally overwhelmed. We're saying yes to these things and we're not even thinking about it. Then what starts to happen is maybe we, somebody's asking us to do something, and instead of our, immediate impulse to say yes and give them a deadline of tomorrow, we start to say, actually, hold on a second, let me take a look at my calendar. Let me see what I can do, right? So you're in the middle of it. And then eventually you get to the point where you are giving what I'm going to call a more pessimistic timeline, but it's really a realistic timeline, right? That you are putting yourself in a place where you're not overcommitting to a ton of stuff that you can't accomplish in the given time. You're doing this before you even commit to anything, right? And I'll share one last example. It's something that actually, one of my kids is in the middle of this process right now. So one of my kids, let's just say he's a kid that loses stuff a lot, right? He leaves his sweatshirt, he leaves his basketball, like just his stuff seems to disappear. And this is frustrating for everyone, him included. But what I've seen happen over time is that, at first it was like every day I picked him up from school. He's like, oh, we got to run to the park. I forgot X, Y, or Z at the park, right? And then over time, he started to, once he's leaving the park, realize, oh, I have to run back and get whatever it is. So it doesn't get to the end of the day. And then eventually, hopefully soon, he will get to the point where he is doing whatever the child version of like the keys, wallet, phone check is before he leaves the house or before he leaves wherever he is. He's not there yet, but I can see this progression happening. And I bet that if you look at your life, you have some areas where you are feeling like you are stuck. You're feeling like you're in this knowing doing gap. You know what to do, you know how to do it, and yet you are not doing it. I want you to focus on your awareness. I want you to see if your awareness is actually moving up in time, because that is actually a sign that things are on the right path, right? The awareness actually comes first. The awareness is the first step to change. So tell me in the comments, is this something that resonates with you? Do you have an area of your life where you've seen this pattern happening, where you've seen this path happening? Did you get to the other side? If you like this content, if you want to see more of it, please make sure to subscribe. And until next week, I will see you then.
Hello, it's the video editor here. Just want to quickly say that only 14% of the people that watch our videos are actually subscribed, and we're trying to get to 1K, so please subscribe.